We'll build this together, any type of weather. Unity is key. Keeping first G-O-D. We will conquer the world. Baby, just you and me. I can vision us now. One big happy family.
What up, though? This is Lonnie Walker.
Hi, I am Latoya Walker. Welcome to Way of the Walkers.
Way of the Walkers.
Okay, so we are doing a series of episodes about trauma
Yeah.
and about how our trauma affected our marriage.
Right.
And I already did my episode. It's your turn.
Okay, so she's putting me on the couch today. So, a lot of things happen in your childhood, and you may not necessarily know how they're going to show up in your marriage. So, I'm just going to unpack some things that I guess happened to me
Yeah.
and how that showed up.
Yeah.
So, the number one off the top is abandonment issues. So, my abandonment situation was essentially my mom was a teen pregnant mom. So that's not how, they have TV shows and stuff about that now. Back in 19, they didn't have that. So she had me, she was staying with my grandmother. What I remember, and I'm just talking about what I remember, I think I stayed with her maybe 2 or 3 years. And then at that point, she left. I didn't know where she was. I was staying with my grandmother. I stayed with my grandmother till I was 10. So that's that part.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other part, my father, my biological father, to unpack that a little bit, I met him a total of 3 times in my life that I remember. There's I don't want to say it's a rumor. Some people have said that when I was first born, he was around a little bit, but I don't recall him ever when I was living in Detroit. I remember seeing him 3 times after I left Detroit, came to Texas, and went back to Detroit to visit. So he was never really part of my life at all. So those are the 2 segments. So let's just unpack that in itself. Not knowing your father and being abandoned by him when you find out that he raised 5 other children. It makes you feel unwanted, like you were too much trouble.
Right.
You wasn't worth the bother. It's one thing, and I'm not saying this is good, so I'm just unpacking my thought process. It's one thing for a father to abandon all his children and he wasn't there.
Right.
It's a whole nother thing that you have a father who he was in all his other children's lives.
Right.
Not just all his other children, but also the woman he was with. They calling him daddy, like they know him intimately.
Like her children.
Right. That's
Right.
not his.
Right.
And I salute him for he married a woman and he took care of her and her children and his other children. But what that makes you feel.
Right.
So it's not that he wasn't capable
Right.
at some point.
Right.
But he never even made an effort. It'll make you very angry. You'll feel definitely some type of way. Because it's like your daddy don't want you. Your mama don't want you. And then you're just roaming around with that pain and anger inside, ready to explode, because what you're feeling is the rejection, and you're like, I'm not going to let anybody reject me in this way ever again.
Right.
And so what that mean is any slight, any misspoken word to you, you going to pop off and you're going to go off on them. So you're walking around with that energy, not understanding that that's what it is. It's because I'm not going to allow anybody to hurt me in that way again, which brings me to our marriage.
Mm.
So my perspective of women when I met you was women use men for what they need. So if you have money, they need money, they're going to show you love and affection because you're paying the bills or you're buying them this or you're taking them out. And they're going to use them for the other stuff too. They're going to use them until they can use them up, and then they're going to dispose of them. And then the next dude who can provide is in line. So when you bring that to a marriage, I wasn't in the capacity to even receive real love from you because I had no evidence of that around me.
That's good.
So when you were pouring love on me like syrup on a waffle,
Okay, syrup.
and you know how much syrup I like on my
You like a
waffle.
lot of syrup on your
It's
waffles.
probably more syrup than waffle, but not to get off track. I was like, this isn't real.
Right.
And this is only gonna last while she content or happy. And once that happens, then it's gonna be over. So with that, if I can't receive your love, then I can't even express to you how I really was in love with you after day 3.
Yeah.
Because that's gonna leave me open for the next shoe gonna drop. And it's almost as if as soon as I express that I love you the way that I did, that was going to be like your time that you're going to be like, I'm glad you love me like that, but I got to go. And that's in root of the abandonment is always being afraid that the person that you love and care about is going to leave you.
Right.
And that's a constant fear. And the thing that I understand now that I didn't understand then, but there was nothing that you could do to undo that abandonment in me.
Right.
It is something that it's an inside job that I needed to work through. So similar to your story, I remember when I was 10 years old and my mom showed up. Now, she would come visit once a year from 3 to 10 every year, come see me in Detroit and then leave and go back. I'm not sure if she was even in Houston the whole time. But when I was 10, she came and she said, hey, she gave me some clothes and she went and talked to my grandma, which I call mama because my grandma raised me. And then my Uncle Prentice came and he's like, hey, man, what's going on? I just said it just like he was saying
You
it.
did sound like Uncle Prentice.
That's my uncle. So he was like, hey, when we go back to Texas, you coming with us? And I go, no, I didn't know that. And he was like, man, your mama didn't tell you? I said, no. From that moment that he told me I was going to Houston, they were in Detroit for a week. I don't remember anything. I don't remember packing to leave. I don't remember getting in the car, going to the airport. I don't remember the plane ride. What I remember is he told me that, blackout, and then we were driving up Deep Forest to the house that we were going to when we moved here. So we get here. I'm with a woman, my mom. I don't know her because I really haven't lived with her for 7 years. She tells me that she's marrying a man,
Right.
of course, that I don't know.
Right.
Because I didn't really know anyone that she dated. So I'm meeting these 2 new people, new state, and let's just keep it 100. It's a difference living in the projects in the hood of Detroit and living in the suburbs of Houston, Texas. We're not even gonna get into the heat and the insects and all that. We did that an episode. And so now I have a woman I don't know, a man I want, and I'm living with them, and that's traumatic.
Yeah.
Then I don't know who I am. I don't know who they are. I'm living in a house, a nice house, but I don't know where I am.
Right.
And it's just interesting because we just had a terrible storm a few days ago.
Yes, it was terrible.
So I get to Houston, I think it's 2 days. So my mom would leave me at home by myself, which I was never at home by myself when I was in Detroit. And she was like, and you better not leave this house.
Right.
Some crazy storm comes.
Which you didn't have in Detroit.
Right. No,
Y'all didn't
there's
have
nothing
this,
like that.
right.
It's some ridiculous storm come. And I go and run on the neighbors. I run to the neighbor's house, knock on the door. They open door, and they're like, it's this little black kid.
Right.
They were white, a little black kid. So they basically take me in. And so I'm looking out the window waiting on her to come. She finally comes. I try to run out the back door to run back into the house. I get in trouble for that because you don't want them in. I don't want them in my business.
Yeah.
But you leaving me at home by myself, 10 years old, don't know nobody in a place I don't know.
Right.
So, and then I don't even want to get into how I was triggering to her just being there because she hasn't really been with me for 7 years. So she went from no kid, just visiting, to now you full blown mom, kid you don't know, and you got a marriage that you engaged to somebody, you about to get married. So she got all these dynamics. But the key thing about the abandonment is that it's the rejection, the not knowing who you are, not being able to get grounded. It's like you don't have a foundation.
Right.
And so when you don't have a foundation, you're searching for that. You're searching for identity. You're searching for love. You're searching for affection. But the thing is when you have it, you're not even fit to receive it.
Right.
Because of the brokenness, because you don't trust it. Because up to that point, every time you've been shown love and affection, it's been, look, I'm going to give you this, but you got to give me that.
Right.
And if you don't give me that, you out of there.
Right.
And so that's all I knew. And so I show up with you, wonderful, loving, caring, bubbly. And I'm almost like, man, this ain't real.
Right.
Like, then to the point where it's like, cut it out. Like, you doing too much.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure I probably said it. Like, it's not that serious. So that shows up. But you have to work through that process yourself in order to recognize that that's what this is. This is why I'm feeling this way. So you're not bringing that into that. And then we don't even want to talk about you trying to address it with me and how I'm receiving it.
Right.
Because I'm sitting here in the anger of, first of all, nobody want to say that I'm abandoned and I'm hurt. I'm going to use your word.
And at that time, you didn't even have the emotional intelligence to articulate that.
No.
Right.
I would say I'm mad. You would say I'm angry. But to know
No, I would say you were hurt.
That's right. You would say you hurt. I would say mad and angry. And then I would be like, man, look, we're not doing the hurt thing today. I am mad right now.
I just want to be mad.
I got hurt. But not even understanding the dynamic of myself, which is the loss of identity of what something is, to even detect that. And that's why you need help to do that.
Yeah.
So we got the abandonment issue. Then I get to Texas, and then this man is enamored with me.
The man who your mother is marrying.
Yes.
Right.
I wasn't gonna say that, but that's fine.
Oh, okay.
Because he sees the brokenness in me and my mom's relationship, he used that as an opportunity to get close to me because he started protecting me from her.
Right.
And in that, not knowing that he was a pedophile and he struggled with sexuality, he started molesting me. So it started that he would come and pray for me. So he was a preacher. He led praise and worship, but he would come and pray for me in the morning and pray for me at night. So I thought it was weird, but I was just getting exposed to Christianity, so I wasn't sure.
Right.
Because they're like, you pray for your child and all of this. And I'm like, oh, okay. But I thought it was weird that he would come in at 9:30 p.m. and then be back at 5 a.m. I just thought that was weird. And so finally, so he's molesting me. So the molestation did two things that I know. One, it just affirmed the abandonment and the rejection because it's
Right.
something that I didn't want, but didn't have the power to speak against it because he was authority and basically he was the father figure to trusting men.
Right.
I was very familiar with women and how they work. This men thing was a new thing. Because at that time, really didn't have any men in my life that were doing anything good. I had drug dealers, people doing verbally, physically abusing women, a lot alcoholic. It wasn't really no men, but now marrying a man of church man, Christian man, and then this is happening. And so what that does in your mind at a young age when you get molested, for me anyway, it makes you question your sexuality.
Yeah.
It makes you question, did I do something to make him do this, or did I do something to attract him to me?
Right.
It has you questioning everything. And then that's another thing that'll have you angry. And it had me to the point that I didn't want a man to touch me, period. And I'll give an example, a quick one. I was at work, not where I'm working now, where I worked previously, and we were all getting ready to go to lunch. And it was a bunch of guys. It was like 7 of us. We got in the elevator, and a gentleman playfully, like, fake massaged my shoulders. And I went off on him.
Right.
I said, "Man, don't touch me," very aggressively. And the men in the elevator started laughing.
Right.
And I was like, "Dude, don't laugh. I don't want this dude touching me. I don't know him like that for him to be touching me." Now, him touching me, he shouldn't have. That's fact. But the aggression and the fire and the flames that I set him on fire with, it wouldn't have been there if I didn't have that.
Right.
There was another situation where a friend, and he was a friend, and we're still friends now. We were in the office. He walked past me, and he like playfully touched my sides, and I checked him.
Right.
But all of this stems from the molestation and then the abandonment and the anger. So I was always just ready.
Yes.
Always ready to get
Absolutely.
people in order.
Yes.
And then it makes sexuality, for me, it makes it almost like it's gross. And it doesn't matter men or women. It just make it feel dirty, like, shouldn't be doing this because I know he shouldn't be doing that. And it's sexual. So all of that plays a part. And so we got the abandonment issues, then we got the molestation issues, and all of that just basically just build rage. And one of the things that I think we've talked about is I walked around basically waiting on a fence
Absolutely.
to go off.
Absolutely.
It was like, guess what? You did it. Now I can roast you.
Exactly.
I can go ahead and tap into this anger.
Yeah.
And I can just set it on fire.
Yeah.
I was basically a walking offense, and then I was the I wish you would.
Absolutely. You know the adage, hurt people hurt people. That was definitely what you did. It was, I remember you told me, and I think we were talking to some family members, and you said, when I would meet people for the first time, I would have 2 ranks on them.
Yes.
Right off the top. And I'm like,
Yes.
what? You have ranks on, like, your mama jokes?
Right.
You don't even know these people.
No, look, I went to counseling for this. But no, it was I didn't realize that that's what I was doing. But again, I'm in the midst of it. So it would be like we walk in a room, and if it's 10 people, I got 20 caps. So if they say something, I'm already locked and loaded with 2. So if I say something, they say something back, I'm gonna say something, and that's probably, I know it was the defense
Absolutely,
mechanism,
absolutely.
but and they're like, well, who does that? Who, when they just meet someone, automatically two caps come in? That was me because I was always on the defense. You got to remember, I grew up in poverty. So I was
Yeah.
used to people talking about me because our clothes was raggedy, our clothes was dirty. So when you used to being beat down, and then you get to a point where I'm not tolerating that anymore.
Mhm.
So automatically when you walk in a room, so it doesn't matter that your clothes fresh, if you ugly or not,
Oh gosh.
I'm gonna say what I need to say to get you off of me.
Right.
Um, it also, these things have you building up
Mm.
fake confidence that can be broken down
Mhm.
real easy. I remember we were watching a show. I'm not gonna say the show, but these two people was going at it, and then she was like, "Your necklace fake," and you could just see that he went. It
Yes.
was done. So that's when you walk around with fake swag and confidence. It's not gonna take much if it's not real to get broken down.
Right.
Um, and so just processing that, one of the things that I talked to you about was just, it was so negative. My growing up, it was so negative that I didn't think it was realistic for people to be happy.
Yes.
So I know you know the story. I'm gonna tell the story for them. So my birthday. So when I was in Detroit, I think I was about 7. I think me and David, we may be 4 or 5 years apart. I'm not sure.
Not your cousin.
That's my cousin David. Yes, me, Niecy, then David. So it's probably like 5 years. They were preparing to celebrate his birthday.
Mhm.
His birthday is August the 8th. So this is August 7th, and they're preparing like this big birthday celebration. He's about to be 3. Yay, we're so excited.
Mhm.
He's my cousin. I'm living in the same house with him.
Right.
And it's probably 10 o'clock at night, and they're preparing for this big party and thing for him. And my aunt turns and looks at me, and she's like, "Oh, tomorrow your birthday too. I guess we gotta do something for your birthday." And so I'm kind of like, I didn't say nothing to her because back then, if you talk back to a grown folk, you just gonna get slapped in the mouth. But what I didn't realize until almost 9 years ago
Yes.
was that that trauma from that comment is why I hated my birthday.
Yes.
So on my birthday, I don't want to do nothing.
That's
I
right.
don't want to celebrate because it's all fake. It's an afterthought. You really don't care about me. You just like, I guess it's his birthday, so we better do. And so for years, so in our marriage, we've been married over 20 years. For my birthday, hey, what do you want to do? My mind, I hear her saying, "What do you want to do?" I know she love me. I know she care about me. But in my heart, I'm hearing my aunt like, "It's your birthday, so what do you want to do?" That's what I'm hearing, even though that's not. And so I was trying to make a conscious effort, like, okay, tomorrow's my birthday. Tomorrow we're gonna wake up, we'll be happy.
Yeah.
It's my birthday.
Yeah.
And I would get up, and for the first 10 minutes, get up, go. By the time I finish brushing my teeth in the morning, the depression
Yeah.
of that would hit. And I was like, man, what is that? But I had to go see somebody to unpack
Yeah.
that story. And I don't think when we were unpacking things, we weren't even talking about the story. I think I was just telling stories,
Mhm.
and they was like, well, where's all the rejection and all of this? And then I was like, one time this happened, that happened. And then I told that story.
Mhm.
And in speaking it, I realized that's why that circled my birthday, because that would come back, that trauma from that.
And it seems like a lot of times the things that we go through trigger us to send us back to the biggest fear in us, which is that we're not enough. And I think everybody struggles with that. And so the story of your birthday just reiterated again that you weren't enough. So it's a big deal because it just reaffirms your biggest fear.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of situations where it's not a coincidence that you continue to find yourself in situations where you're internalizing it as rejection and not
Mhm.
being wanted. I can remember a lot. We would have conversations, and I would be so frustrated that I would say, "Man, it's always my fault. It's
Yeah.
always me.
Yeah.
Why is it always me?"
Mhm.
Um, and that all stems from that. I just remember like when I would get upset, and this is good. I just thought this is probably my mind. When I would get upset, I didn't feel that it was worth speaking on because it didn't matter what I said.
Right.
When I grew up in Detroit, it didn't matter if I was hungry. It didn't matter if I wanted to do this. It didn't matter if I want to do that. I would speak it and it'd be like, boy, you better go,
Yeah.
whatever,
Mhm.
get out of here.
Mhm.
It was always, there was always, if something positive happened, most of the things that I remember, it was always a usury to it.
Mm.
Just even
Tell me more about that. What do you mean? A usury to it.
anything, I was going to give an example. So we used to get food stamps,
Mhm.
first 15 every month. My grandmother would get the food stamps, and the food stamp is for food for the house.
Mhm.
But because she struggled with substance abuse, she would tell her, hey, go to the corner store, get 5 pieces of candy, which were a penny, and bring me the 95-cent back. Now, do I want the candy? Absolutely. But I'm being used in that manner so that she can do what she want to do. So it's not I'm doing this out of love. I need you to do this
Mhm.
so I can do that.
Right.
Um and and that is kind of like the telltale of the birthday.
Mhm.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and do this for you just so you can be content. And that's the new thing is that I was always trying to make people be content around me. So in my spirit, I felt like you don't need to be happy, you need to be content. And being content doesn't mean that you're happy. Um it's it's almost like I felt like I had to be used in order to be loved.
Right. Right.
Um, even love that you don't even want. Um, it's it's a very tough dynamic when you're searching for something that you don't know. Because when I met you, the love that you had in you, I'm not even talking about the love that you have for me. The love you had in you, I'd never seen it before, ever. I knew I wanted it, but I didn't think that you would stay. I figured you would abandon me at some point. I was like, she's feeling me now. Give her some time. She gonna do what always happens. And so in that brokenness, self-sabotage comes into
Yes.
play.
Yes.
Cause now you can put a wall up
Mhm.
and it's almost like when you start dating somebody and they got their representative.
Mhm.
Yeah, at some
Mhm.
point, that real person is gonna be like, yeah, this was cute for 3 months, but now let me let you know what it really is.
Right.
It's the same thing. You love me and you love me and you love me to where I was like, oh no, the wall's coming down. The wall's coming down.
Oh
And
no.
then you're making up other walls. It's almost like, okay,
Yeah.
that wall's coming down. Well, now this
Yeah.
wall up.
Yeah.
And then in your mind, you're making up reasons why they're continuing to love you.
Mhm.
And then it's just a matter of time when it's gonna be over.
Right.
It's very, very toxic because you're in situations where, hey, you want some breakfast? and I'm snapping at you. All you asked me was, "Do you want some breakfast, bro?"
Right.
Like what's going on? It's really, really, and that's why it's important to work through these things so you can get a solid foundation and know who you are. Not that that's going to solve everything. It's because when someone speaks to you like, "Hey, have you recognized this in yourself?" That you're even open to listen
And to
and
receive
kind
that.
of like, okay, let me see if this is really a thing. Because of course, everybody that speaks stuff on you is not accurate because they may be speaking from their brokenness. But you need to be able to at least, if someone says, you cocky, and I'm like, no, I just got swag and I'm confident.
Mm-hmm.
You should be able to at least receive that and be like, okay, let me see it. Am I being over the top? No, I'm pretty amazing. No, you're wrong. So, but it's a lot of things, and even the not having a father.
Mm.
I went, like I said, I met him 3 times, and then he passed away. And I'm thinking I'm fine. I met him those 3 times. I was 22 years old. I had my closure. I went over. We talked man to man. I met his other children, my other half siblings. We're good. I'm like, okay. I went, talked to him, know what he looked like. Good. I think we shook hands, and I left. And so we're in this marriage. I'm not realizing that I'm missing this void. And what the void is someone teaching me how to be a good husband to my wife, how to be a good father, how to be a good coverer. What levels of, like, you need to provide for her, but we don't need you stressing out where you're gonna have a stroke that you're providing for. No one to really walk me through that. And so one night I was asleep and I had a dream.
Mm-hmm.
And the dream was I pulled up to a movie theater, parked the car, me and another person, I'm gonna say his name, Greg, we started walking into the movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what movie we went to go see. That wasn't part of it, but we went to the movies, and so we walked in the movie, and now we were walking out. As we were walking out, a person came up to me and they said, "How do you do it?"
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "What do you mean?" They're like, "How do you do it without a father?"
Mm.
And I said, "Man," I said, "Look, get away from me. I'm just walking out this movie. I don't have time for that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be asking me no questions." And then me and Greg walked out the movie theater. As we walked out the movie theater, I looked throughout the parking lot. I'm looking for my car. Now, my wife can say, I'm really good at remembering where I park,
That's true.
but this particular dream, I forgot. So I'm out looking. And then I'm like, man, I got to walk through this parking lot and look for my car. So Greg goes right, I go left.
Hmm.
I'm walking through the parking lot. Greg goes straight to the car. I finally look up and I'm like, oh, there go the car. As soon as I see the car, 2 suitcases show up and they're in both of my hands. So I
Yeah.
start walking through this parking lot. Now, I don't know why I didn't. Oh, wait, I got to go back. So before I get the luggage, I'm walking out, I'm walking through the parking lot. A police car pulls up with 2 people in the car. And they ask, hey, how do you do it without a father? And I said, I don't know. I just pushed through it.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I said I pushed through it, the police car pulled off.
And you
Then
had
I
the
had
back.
the 2 suitcases.
Mm-hmm.
So I got the 2 suitcases. I'm walking through the parking lot to get to the car because now I recognize the car's on the other side of the parking lot. But instead of me walking the drive portion, I start going in between cars with the 2 suitcases. So as I'm walking through this parking lot, my clothes are just getting dirty because I'm rubbing up against cars as I'm dragging this luggage the suitcases over to the car. When I finally get to the car, I pop the trunk. I put the suitcases in the trunk.
Mm-hmm.
Greg disappears from the front of the car. I get in the car, and now I'm trying to drive out of the parking lot. So I drive around, and you know how sometimes when you're leaving a parking facility, you got to go up a hill to get up. So you'll go up to the top of the hill, look both ways, and then you make a right and go. So this one, it was a hill. So I go up the hill,
Mm-hmm.
and as soon as I get up to the hill, if you have a stick shift, you know, if you put it in neutral, if you don't have the brake on, then you're going to slide right back down. So I went up to the top, I looked both ways, and then it slid back down the hill. So I was still in this parking lot. I'm like, so I go up again. The second time, same thing happened. And then I was like, well, I guess I'm going to have to punch it. So I punch it, I go up the hill, but instead of going out into the street, it sends me up in the air, flipping the car, and flips the car back into the parking lot. And so the car lands. I don't know why I'm not hurt, why I didn't land upside down, but it lands. I'm in the car. I look around. I say, I have to do this a different way. And so at that point, I go a different direction. I drive through the parking lot, go to the park. I make a right. I'm out of there. So I wake up. I'm like, man, what was that? So at some point that day, I'm pretty sure I don't think I woke you up, but once you got up, I'm like, hey babe, I had this dream. This is the content of the dream. And then I was like, but I don't understand. Like, I don't understand why it flipped me back in the parking lot like one of those old school race tracks with the loop. I don't understand why I'm going to the movies with this dude. I don't understand why the person come and ask me this question. I don't know them. I don't know why the police car shows up and why the police man asking me that. I don't know this. I don't know what this suitcase. Why did I dirty up my clothes? Like, what am I doing? Like, it was a whole bunch of weird. I don't know where the car is. Where this luggage come from? Why they asking me about my father? And then why wasn't I smart and walk around the drive area with the suitcases? And then why ain't I make sure it's my suitcases? When I went in there, I ain't have none. Open it to see what's in it. I'm going through all of this. And so what did you say?
I immediately knew what the dream was. The Holy Spirit allowed me to interpret what it was. And Greg was your stepfather who molested you. And you have been pushing through not having a father. You had all the luggage that you were carrying, and you're carrying the luggage through life, going through the cars, dirtying yourself because you won't let the luggage go, right? Soiling your clothes, pulling that luggage through. People keep asking you, how do you do it? The Holy Spirit was trying to get you to understand you're not really doing it. You are struggling through this. You're carrying this luggage. You're pretending like everything's okay because you're going to the movies with this guy. You're pretending like everything's good. Because at that point, it was kind of, I think you had the revelation when it happened because it was a time where you had a lot of suppressed things that you didn't realize, but now you'd realize that he had been molesting you when you were younger. Or
this dream was
before
after
that.
that was already done.
Right. So that's why I'm saying you did know, but it was still on you.
Yeah.
Right. So getting to not finding your car, like parking lot represent a stagnant location where you're just constantly stagnant, and your car represents the way that you move through your ministry, or that you move through your life, and being able to be effective in ministry, transporting you places, right? You couldn't find it. He was there. Then he disappeared, but you still have the luggage. You put the luggage in the car because you're going to take it with you, right? You're still carrying the luggage. And
I
then
didn't want to, but it
you
could have been
didn't,
something
but
valuable
just
in
like you
there.
said, in the dream, you're like, why am I still doing? I can walk. Why am I bringing it through these cars? Because you were used to pushing through.
Mm-hmm.
So you put the luggage in the trunk, your storage space where you keep your stuff, and then you get in a car and try to go over this hill. And his last name is Hill. So
Yeah.
you're going up the hill and it keeps pushing you back. You keep trying to push through it and it keeps pushing you back because you never really walked through the trauma of his molestation. So then you're like, I need to do this a different way. The different way is I need to go and figure out why I'm so angry and why. Because at that moment, you weren't as angry as you were, but you hadn't gone through what you went through to get more clear, more secure, more foundation, more healed. And you went another way. So all that Holy Spirit is just trying to get you to understand that there was another step that you had to take to be free.
It was that, yeah. It was a combination of that situation because he represented, of course, father, because that's the position that he had, and not having it, not having my biological, and then having the moment he was in my life, and then now that wasn't there, and it's like, how you doing? And then I was just, like I said, I was pushing through.
You're pushing
I was
through.
thugging it
Carrying
out.
all that luggage.
Yeah.
Getting dirty.
So after I don't think I gave you any pushback on any of that.
No, you sat there and you're like, oh my gosh, that is exactly what's going on.
After we talked about that, I was like, man, I need to go talk to somebody.
Right.
Because there were things I thought that I was good on my biological father. I felt like I said, I thought when I talked to him, I closed that book. Didn't know that there was pain attached to that. I knew that it was pain attached to the molestation and Greg's situation. I knew it was, but I was just pushing through. I felt like he wasn't in my life no more, so that was good.
So you didn't have to address it.
But that wasn't true because when I saw him, I was triggered.
Exactly. Yes.
I'm not triggered no more, but I was. That's a whole nother thing.
Yes.
So after that, I reached out to this inner healing.
It was similar. It was actually, I went to the inner healing years before that, and they were no longer doing what they were doing, but they gave us the reference to go to where you ended up going. Yeah.
Right. So I started that process, and I was with them for like a 10 months.
Yes.
They helped me unpack not just that, but they helped me unpack, my mom dynamic. The thing that they focused on the most was how it was affecting our marriage.
Absolutely.
I think they were smart because they knew how much I loved you and my children. And I think they felt like if we tell him we're doing this for mom, dad, cousin, he's gonna be like, But when they like, this is affecting your marriage. This is putting walls and boundaries. This is making y'all marriage a ceiling versus y'all can. They were like, we're gonna attack that, and then he's just gonna make him open to understand see how this happened. See how this isn't the same, but the same consequences. And they set me down, and of course they talked about soul ties, getting to the bitter root of the situation, which is crucial. The thing that I thought about was when you have your baby teeth, you don't want part of the tooth to come out and the other part stay because the other tooth can't grow. So you want to pull that whole tooth out so the other new, fresh, healthy tooth can grow. And so they had me unpack.
Baby, I love that. Come on. That was awesome. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Um, it just made me work on everything. So it made me work on just me and my mother's relationship,
Mm-hmm.
me not having a father because I still don't have it, but I have our Lord and Savior. That's the Father, and then I have, I have Uncle Mitchell, of course. I have men that I can trust now,
Yes. Yes.
because in order to get things done, we understand it takes a village. So I can't do all these things myself. I remember we talked about this yesterday, how I was trying to be good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And we would talk every year. I'd be like, you know what, I did, a self, evaluation of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I feel like I could do better. But every year I felt like I was still landing on
Hmm.
like a 50 out of 100. And I was like, I was trying to get to a 70, 75, but in my heart, I felt like I was at a 50 because I was trying to do it in my own strength. And I was trying to do it with all the brokenness,
Right.
not understanding if I'm trying to reach for something, but this part of my arms broke, I'm not going to be able to reach it because the arms broke. So in my brokenness, I am in my head trying to evaluate something, but I have all these things that I
Mm-hmm.
have not addressed
Right.
that's over here simmering in the background that is making cause and effect.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to be good, and it's not possible.
I remember when we had one of our discussions where I'll come to you with a concern, and we'd have to work through communicating how to overcome the concern together. And one of the things that you mentioned was you had a goal that you were trying to reach, and like a target that you're trying to hit. And as I was listening to you talk about it, I said, "Do you even know where the target is?" And you said,
No,
"No." I said, "How are you going to hit the target if you can't even see it?"
because I was just going to shoot everywhere.
Exactly. And that's a great example of how our marriage was. It was like you're grasping and shooting and trying everything to hit this target. But the problem is that you didn't realize you were shooting with a broken arrow, that it was going all over the place because you didn't have the right foundation to really focus on what the problem was.
You just said that. So this is what's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So the target hasn't moved. The target was right there,
Mm-hmm.
but my arrows were jacked.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, why this not working?
Right.
Why am I missing this mark? And that's why I was telling you it's like a 50. So it wasn't passing. It was like a FF.
Mm.
So, and then of course, no one wants to make a FF, but I'm trying to figure out why, not realizing that my arrow so broke, it can never
It
reach.
won't ever. It'll
It will
curve
never
this
hit,
way. It'll turn. It'll fall.
or it'll fall.
Right. And
Or
and and I know that you tried so hard, and that was what was heartbreaking to me because I would see you really being consistent in your trying, but your trying was enough because it was faulty. Because you're trying, like you said, broken arm with broken leg. How are you gonna walk this way and your leg is broken or whatever?
this, because I didn't know who I was,
Mm-hmm.
there's no way that I could hit that target in our marriage for you,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm trying to do this not as myself, but as a representative of myself.
Yes.
Therefore, I'm showing up as a fake me with a fake arrow. And then, do you even want me to hit your target with a fake arrow?
Mm.
That's why you couldn't hit it. The thing was like, yeah, when you get that, then you can start hitting some arrows. So it was a lot of unpacking, a lot of things about yourself. Like you realize, hey, you're selfish. And I'm like, yeah, I do stuff for all people. Yeah, you do stuff for other people when it's convenient for you. But when you in this situation,
Mm-hmm.
you're being selfish. Like, oh, let's here, good. You need this, you need that. It's cool. But then when it comes to, I need you to show me love in a different way than you're showing me now. Then I'm like, why I gotta do that? I'm showing you like this.
Right.
Like,
Something that you say is, I loved you the way that I wanted to love you, not the way that you needed me to love you.
right.
Yeah.
Another thing I used to say was, I'm showing you I love you. Why I have to tell you?
Yeah.
But if words of affirmation is gonna be mean more to you than me showing you, because let's just say if I'm showing you because I took you to dinner, but if you like, I don't care if you take me to dinner. Like, it's cool. It's good we go out, do date night, but
Yeah.
that ain't really moving me. That's not, we gotta eat, but we just eating.
Well, it was a little different for me because I really did love our quality time. That's also one of the love languages I have. But it was your actions sometimes they were not consistent. Like the way that you would treat me and talk to me and things like that. So when I would ask you to tell me, it was because your actions weren't showing me. So it was, oh, we'll go out to dinner. And this was like early on in our marriage. But then at dinner, you say stuff that are very offensive or are short with me or seem so bothered with my presence. Then I'm like, okay, I need to hear him say it. I need him because his actions aren't showing it. So it wasn't as consistent as I needed it to be.
Okay, well, that's breaking news. That's hot off the press. Well, that makes sense now. So you
Yeah.
may need additional affirmation because my
But is that fair
behavior.
to say what I
No,
said?
no,
Yeah.
no, it is.
Okay.
But when you just did that light bulb, bing,
Yeah.
because of course we're not in that situation now, but
Right.
that makes a whole lot of sense to me now.
Yes.
And then in my brokenness, I didn't get affirmed.
And I couldn't tell you that either in your brokenness.
Oh
That the
no.
reason why I needed you because
Because then that was
that
gonna be a
was not
whole nother,
safe to
yeah,
say
that was
stuff
gonna be a
like
whole
that to
nother
you. Yeah.
conversation. But that's the thing. So I didn't get affirmed affirmation, especially from my mom.
Mhm.
Of course, my father wasn't there. And then the other affirmation was from the molester. So that was janky.
Right.
So I wasn't used to that. And then you feel like, well, because I can't receive it and it's fake to me, you don't need that. What I'm going to try to do is show you. But again, I'm out here at dinner and then this drama show up.
Mhm.
You know, you like, well, we're gonna get an appetizer. Man, we don't need no appetizer. We about to eat some food.
That's a great example. That's a great example.
The,
And then I'll just be like, okay,
the way our bank account was
well,
set up at that time. But no, that just popped in my mind as an example.
yeah,
And that's the thing. I'm sitting here or walking, ready to be offended, and very dismissive. I mean, I
very.
still don't eat appetizers to the day. Not because we can't afford it. It's because I want my steak and potatoes. I just do. I want the main course, lemonade bread, and we good. Uh, but it was things that I had to walk through
Mhm.
that this is not me and you having a conversation. These are people, they don't know me.
Mhm.
They're not going to be offended by me. They're not going to be because I got an attitude
Right.
and they going to be hurt. They like, yeah, you broken. We trying to fix you. So this is just part of it.
So suck it up.
I
Yeah.
mean, some of those situations, I mean, the lady was like, man, she's like, you're like a robot in here. And I told her, I
Yes.
said, yeah, I'm a robot because my history is
Mm.
when I speak about what hurt me, no one cared. Suck it up. You tripping. It don't matter. Why you making a big deal about it? It's so many things. I mean, I wish it was, man, I could really go deep. I got like 5 examples popping in my head, but I don't want to put people out. It's very hurtful when that you think that you're a unit and then there's an exception and it's you. It's like the black sheep. And when you feel like you that, when it's convenient to them, you're the black sheep. But when something's needed or something needs to be done, you're not the black sheep no more. Hey.
Yeah.
That's that usury.
Yeah.
It's a trigger and it'll make you want to slap somebody. Or, no, not slap nobody. It'll make you tell people, I don't want to deal with you. I ain't going to do it. I'm not going to help you. It's a real, but then they're also functioning in their brokenness. And so you don't want to crucify someone or not extend grace, but there's limits to this.
Absolutely.
So work through that process.
Can I go back for a second? Because I just had a revelation. You were talking about how people will respond to you. You're fine. You don't need it. It's okay. That's how you would treat me. If I would come to you about something that happened where you hurt me or whatever the case may have been, that's how you would react to me. And I'm like, what you're saying and that's because that's what was done to you.
Correct.
Yes.
It was kind of like, suck it up.
Yeah. Get over it.
Yep. You got molested. Yeah. We're sorry that happened to you. Everyone good here? And then nothing happens.
And that's your story.
Right. That's my version.
Yeah.
It was like,
no, that was what happened.
I mean, that is what happened.
Yes.
So, but I'm just saying, I mean, of course, someone else telling from their perspective, they may tell it different, but essentially, we exposed the person that molested me. There was a 2-day conversation, and then everything else, it went right back to like it never happened.
Exactly.
And that was awesome. That, in a nutshell, was my childhood. Things would happen to me. They would be like, yeah, that person did slap you in the face. Okay, well, noted. No consequences, no anything.
No empathy.
No.
No care, no comfort.
No.
Like that consequences is one thing, but I know we all want justice, but we want that soft place to know that these are my people who are surrounding me when something tragic happens. These are people I can run to, and you didn't have that.
And so of course that's going to build resentment, anger. And so at that point, when you feel don't nobody care about you, then you're like, I don't care about you.
Exactly.
I dare you.
Yes.
And so you're walking around, and I know we talked about it before. I was getting offended by stuff that was compliments because I was just that, like, they would say your name. They'd be like, your wife beautiful. Watch your mouth. Don't be saying my wife beautiful. It was just that was probably extreme. It depends on how they said it. But it was a little extreme. But it was just basically, I'm waiting no one's going to take advantage of me. No one's going to disregard how I feel. And if you do, the cost is going to be you getting all the smoke.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. So went through that process. I mean, it was an amazing process. I never thought I would be in there that long, but it was 10 months. And now, working through it. So now when things happen, we can have some real conversations. And it may not be the moment it happened because it's too hot. But at some point, we can sit, have a conversation, work through it. And like you said, you've always been really good at getting to the bottom of what's going on. I've been reluctant because I don't want to go through that pain.
Resistant, yes, very resistant to it.
Reluctant, not resistant.
Okay, sorry, babe.
Well, you know what? I didn't feel safe enough to do it. So I was scared out of my mind. Like, what did I do now? So, no, but now we can have these conversations. We just got to know we got to have the right setting and then to be open. And I know it's difficult for you because you still triggered by how I used to respond. So you like, okay. is he gonna respond like he been responding, or he gonna respond how he used to respond based on what it is? I know that, so sometimes you might have to be like, all right, like, look, we about to talk about what we about to talk about, and I need you not to go in your feelings. I need you to hear me, not feel me. I need you to hear me, then empathize, then respond, not hear me and be like, why we so,
or I'll say, baby, hear my heart. You know me. Like, I have a track record where I've been pretty consistent. So
yeah, I know, but trying to hear your heart and then trying to not be out in my feelings, sometimes it's tough because some of the stuff is tough.
it
ain't you burnt the toast. It's some real stuff, and so it's real conversations. And then some of the stuff is not, this is what happened. This is what we don't want to happen. So we saw something in this sphere. So let's try to talk this out before that presents itself. Then we know how we gonna move in that.
That's all right.
All right. Well.
All right. That's that.
We appreciate y'all joining us. Just, it was my turn to share. So I hope y'all get a better glimpse of, what our marriage is and how we deal with things and the things that happen to us and how it affect our marriage.
In hopes that it could help others.
Like, so you can walk through whatever you need to walk through and get the help that you need. Counseling is good. Inner healing is great because it's going to get you to the bottom. And you're going to be amazed at the things that they're going to walk you through and that they're going to find that you don't even know that's issues. That's
right. And I'm so proud of you that you did the work.
It was hard work. It was long work, too.
It was. And we'll forever be working until we leave this earth. So
don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification button.
We'll build this together, any type of weather. Unity is key. Keeping first G-O-D. We will conquer the world. Baby, just you and me. I can vision us now. One big happy family.